Oh, here we go. Good evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Open Minds live chat show. Tonight is a slightly different night. Tonight, first of all, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Preston Dennett. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Hi, Gloria. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And my guest tonight, because Preston's been on the shows a few times, for the first time is the wonderful Dolly Safran. Welcome to the show, honey.
Hi, thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you. I've wanted to meet you for a while. This is pretty cool to me.
Oh, I wanted to meet you too. Should we just forget about Preston's there and just chat? Now, I'm on a new link tonight, guys. We did have a setup link that you would have seen on Facebook earlier on, but we had technical issues, so I recreated a new link. But if you're going to watch on the replay, it really won't matter. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, in 3 places. So, Dolly, I've got to just start off. I mean, I've heard the interview that Preston's done with you, part 1 and part 2. I did part 2 this morning here in the UK. And I loved it. And once again, thank you for coming on to the show.
You're welcome.
Before we get down and into these beautiful experiences and the information you have, can you just give us a brief sort of bio of where it sort of started and how it sort of got into being a
Sure.
conscious ET experiencer?
Yes, I'm a generational contactee. My father was one before me and before me and before me. I think my mother might be also, but she had a negative experience and cut it off. When I was about 10 months old, I had my first memory of being levitated out of my crib and reacting to it. I started having experiences right around the age 2. I became telekinetic and I learned to levitate, and I ended up in a closet where my mother didn't know where I was, and it freaked everybody out. And I've disappeared from the house several times. Once I was gone for so long, they had to call the police, and they found me 6 miles from the house at a U-Totem. It's a little convenience store. I've had on and off again memories of them coming down for me and seeing them. When I was almost 6 years old, I had my first real concrete memory. They came down and I was taken up and I met Mama. She's a tall gray. She's about 6'2", and I call her Mama, and she asked me to. She kind of takes care of me, has all my life when I'm with them. She's like over 800 years old now. And I've been meeting it, but my memories weren't in a straight line. I had no fluidity to them. I knew something was happening. When I was 14, I decided that I needed to figure it out or I was crazy. And I set up to do that, and I had my chance. And I had an experience when they came down. I saw them come down. They brought me up. When I came back, they blanked my memory out. I don't think it was a permanent blank, but I think they were giving me time to adjust to what had just happened to me. Went in the kitchen. My mom wouldn't listen to me. Heard a radio announcement by the news that said, police saw the same thing I did that night, described it, and I went bonkers. And my father's like, calm down. And I went in the bathroom, shut the door, turned the lights out, sank to the floor, and forced myself to remember. And I've been on ever since. I don't shut down anymore. I don't forget.
I'm with you. I mean, before we go into these amazing experiences, good evening. Michael's in my group, the experiences group, and I'm glad you're on tonight, Michael. You so need to hear this. I mean, this part I heard in the first part, Preston interviewed you, disappearing. Police looking. I used to get into trouble, and they said it was me, that I'd gone off somewhere. All the things, the things you experience, and like wiping of the memory. But unlike you, then it was totally sort of like amnesia. And it's only been with recent contact since last Christmas, the memories being lifted for me. So for my experience, it was meant to be that way. And I'm very happy it was, because there was enough contact going through and things I would remember, I wouldn't want to remember anymore. But now's the right time for me to have that. what I call total recall, so to speak. I mean, I can't even imagine where you were as a child. I know where I was as a child, diagnosed with schizophrenia. However, when you started to have total recall, if we could use that in the context, what sort of paradigm shifts, where did that start to lead you? I mean, I know I went like cuckoo for a while. How did that affect you, and where did that lead you? Did you go out there and then start telling people? I didn't.
No, ma'am. I've been silent until 6 years ago when I
Yeah,
contacted Preston. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever come out. I was very busy from 14 on. I had a very visceral reaction to my memories. I
yeah.
became physically ill. I threw up everything. I mean, it was bad.
Oh, bless.
Once I calmed down and got through that, though, they eased me into understanding what was going on and went over my life with me and asked me what I wanted to do. And it
Yeah.
was at that time that I said I want to fly. And so thus began my journey into going into the training for that and being, learning to fly and then flying. I'm 64 now, and I've been flying since I
Well,
was
we
9.
are the similar ages. I'm 63. I'll be 64 at the end of the year. And I think that was another synchronistic connection, because obviously mine's the Greys as well. There
Right.
are a few other ones come in recently, but it's the Greys. It's always the Greys.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm now quite happy that I didn't have total recall. Because I know for me, going through what I've gone through, it's quite a trauma to come to terms with when you finally have that. I mean, the most recent one wasn't with a Grey; it was with another being, but it was so life shattering. Again, even though I'm aware of who I am and my experiences, that I just went neutral. I had for days. I just couldn't respond. So I can't even imagine what you went through. And now I'm really grateful I didn't. It's coming slowly. I mean,
Yes.
I've got to jump forward. When you contacted Preston, I mean, I've already told Preston, for me, Preston is authentic. He researches the death out of everything. And if he puts it in his book, then you know it's kosher. You know there is nothing more Preston could have done. When you contacted Preston, I mean, what compelled you to find him, or was it synchronicity?
I had been looking already before I met him and was not having any luck.
Mm.
And I told my contact, Talara, help me. I don't know what I'm doing with this. And he gave me his name and told
Wow.
me to look him up on YouTube, which I did. I found his first video that he ever published, and it was on healings. And I watched it and I realized, oh my heaven, this is a person who's a real researcher. He's checking, he's a good fact checker. He vets everything and
Oh God, yes,
he
yes.
gives the facts, which is what I was looking for. I didn't want embellishments or, dreaming in my story. I want the facts, just the facts. And so I emailed him, and he absolutely emailed in under 24 hours. And
Wow.
it just began from there. Yeah.
I mean, I've got to ask you, Preston, even though you're co-hosting tonight with me, I mean, you obviously get a lot of emails and people have approached you. We'll stay with Dolly. What was it in that email? Are you now, I mean, I always think that, even though Preston may not think it, but he's another experiencer too, but he's busy doing what he needs to do. What in her email really pulled you that, oh my God, this is it? What was it about Dolly and her experiences?
Well, it wasn't immediate. Dolly was very shy, a little bit wary, wanted to sort of test the waters, so to speak, but was obviously very interested in telling her story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not unusual. I do get contacted by a lot of people, and often they will start with, I have a story I'd like to share. Are you interested? And that's how it kind of started. And honestly, it took quite a bit of corresponding before I realized how truly extensive her story was. Because a lot of people I talk to do have very interesting experiences, but they're somewhat limited in their ability to recall it.
Yeah.
Many have a lot of fear surrounding it.
Yeah.
And some people have, a simple sighting and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing. And as I interview them, I'm like, well, actually you had a nice, pretty standard sighting there of an anomalous light.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after, a few months, I would say, of going back and forth, Dolly really started to open up. And I started to scratch my head a little bit when I realized her experience at age 14, I think, when she really got into that, where she had actually, been taken on board, talked to the Grays face to face, got a pretty extensive encounter, a ride in the craft and being able to sit in the actual pilot seat and seeing the moon. That I'm like, okay, we got a good one here. This is a live one. This is, and it took another year before I realized this is the most extensive case. The most extensive case of contact.
Yes.
I have never talked to anyone who has this level of recall.
No.
And even today, it's still unfolding, honest to God.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, I got to say, Preston, me coming for me and millions of others, when we do actually start to come out, you get little bits because you just little bits. But the fact is, I've watched all of your YouTube videos. I'm a stalker of Preston. And out of all of the experiences, which I love, I don't need validation because I'm an experiencer myself, but it just does something. This one was the one that got me because of total recall, if I can use my English phrase. It's the total recall. I have partial recall, which is increasing recently. And for me, that caught me in your first interview of Dolly. That caught me. And I think it really needs to be out there. And by the way, before we go back to Dolly, Preston, the name of the book where you share Dolly's experience is called?
Symmetry, a true UFO adventure. And it's interesting because I wanted to call it Dolly Among the Stars. That was my original working title, which I thought was very descriptive and accurate. But of course, this is Dolly's story. And I talked to her about titles. I'm like, here's my idea. Do you have any? She says, actually, I do. I'd like to call it Symmetry. And as soon as she said that, I'm like,
your title, Preston, is a Preston title. Yeah. Yeah, come on. I mean, you're wicked with doing your titles. I mean, but I love the name Symmetry, and that does resonate with me as well. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to jump back at any point, because you're co-hosting with me, jump in to pull something out that you're aware of. Dolly, your experience when you're 14, when you went on the craft and everything you experienced on that. Please, would you share?
Oh, sure. When I started to remember, what happened was I was in my room and the craft showed up and I saw them and I tried to turn away from them and the room exploded in blue white light and I tried to dive under my bed and I was surprised and I froze and I saw an energy ribbon come down and two beings came, two AI Grays, small guys. And one of them took me, I was frozen, but I moved at his command. He walked me over to the ribbon and put my hand under his end on the ribbon itself. And everything turned bright white light to me. Everything was opaque in the room. I could still see shapes and things, but everything was white light. And we went up. I went through the roof of my room and through the tree and we went up to the craft. And I was a little concerned at first because the ribbon didn't go inside the craft. It went up along the side of the craft. And we got to the point where the door was open. He shoved me in feet first. And I landed on my bum. And I looked over and I saw Mama sitting there. And it was at that moment that recall was hitting me. I knew who she was.
Yeah.
And I started to get ill. I started shaking. I threw up. I mean, it was bad. I freaked out from memory hitting me. And they cleaned me up. They decontaminated me. They gave me something to wear. And I was still shaking. I was really in shock. And I was literally visibly shaking, clacking my teeth. And they decided to let me go on tour of the craft again. They wanted me to ground to my knowledge, to my memories.
Yeah.
And so I walked the ship. I got to see my quarters. It had my brush in it that I thought I lost.
Oh,
I
wow.
had a beautiful wooden fuller brush there, and I thought I lost it. I found it, and it helped calm me down. They gave me something to drink, and brought me back up to what you would call the helm and sat me down. And the next thing I know, Talata's talking to me, and I realized, oh my God, I know who you are.
Yeah.
He is a non-corporeal being. He is a fifth dimensional entity who actually indwells that craft.
Mhm.
They do everything they do psychically. And
Yes. Yeah.
and so he was speaking to me and saying, "How you doing, kiddo? You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "We want to talk to you. This is an important meeting here." And he said, "We're going to talk to you about your life." And they did. They talked about what my interests were, what I was planning on doing by myself. And the next thing I know, they're asking me the question, "What do you want to do? We want you to work with us. What do you want to do?"
Mhm.
And out of my mouth came the one thing that I secretly kept on my heart, and that was, "I want to fly." Okay. I didn't think they would say yes. And he paused for a second and he said yes. I was like, shoo. Okay. And I didn't know what that meant at that time. He said, "There's a lot to understand about what you're going to go through.
Mhm.
I have to have your firm commitment for this. We're going to talk about that in a little while." He said, "But let's go for a ride." And I did know what that meant. And we went for a ride. He let me help control the ship, which blew me away. They
Yeah.
gave me a wand-like instrument, and it read
Yeah.
my mind, and it sent my mind to his mind. And he gave me a little briefing on how we were going to go, what we were going to do, and we went to Saturn.
Oh.
And I had the ride of my life that day. Every emotion you could possibly have when you see something that you cognitively, intelligently know is there, and then to really visualize it is
Yeah.
grounding,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we don't really see space as it really is.
No.
Our optics are not that good. You have to experience it personally to really get the full view of it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. It's already a big gas giant planet, and it's even bigger with the rings.
Mhm.
It's the colors on that gas is incredible. Okay. Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah, pictures never do it justice, and people forget how big these rings are. They are, not just 100 miles wide. They are.
No. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, we will go back into it. Then I am partial recall, and I one recall is I'm on the craft. I also wanted to fly, and I was on the craft, and all I remember is being out there. I was like, wow, and it seemed like the windows were everywhere. There was no, it was. I don't know how it was, but I knew it was organic. I knew it was conscious somehow,
Yes.
and I was there, and it was I know someone else I know who I can't name because they don't know. I heard them telepathically calling me, so I knew they had been taken on board as well. And then I don't remember no more, so I missed the best part, like you. Wow, please go on. It's just fascinating.
I learned some astronomical things that I didn't know yet about Saturn. There's some really interesting things about it. One of them that I was recalling the other day, and I'm going to talk about it now, is if you look at Saturn from the top of the planet, from the north, what you would call the North Pole, there is an octagonal opening in the gases that surround that planet. It looks like a big octagon up there, and it's deep.
Wow.
And it swirls around and it moves. It's rotating, and it makes you wonder how fast the gas on that planet is moving. The different gases, and what in the world would make it go into the shape of an octagon.
Wow.
It's more. Well, I wouldn't say octagon. I would say it's more like a chevron looking kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm with
And
you.
I learned about the rings themselves. I learned that the width of the rings is probably the same distance as Earth to the moon. That's how big that distance is.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
learned about all the components of the rings, what they're made up of. There's ice, huge sheets of ice there in a whole ring is nothing but ice water, crystals, sheets of
yeah.
it. There's some of them have rolled up into balls. So you see ice balls everywhere inside that ring. There's boulders, there's all kinds of sand, dust, you name it. They've got all of it in those rings. And there's spaces you can fly up in between them. And I was taught how to do that. I looked at their moons and I found out that one of the moons of Saturn is not in the same elliptical orbit as everybody else. It's in the reverse orbit. It goes the opposite direction. And that's really cool. And it's cube shaped, which even blew my mind even more.
Wow. I got to say,
got
hold on, I've got to jump in because I'm just too excited.
Okay.
I've got questions. I just got to do this. I mean, obviously, I'm an artist, and I've studied, the platonic solids and all of that. And due to all the experiences that I sometimes up to 3/4 remember, they showed me. But the cube and the hexagon or the octagon it's part of the 5 platonic solids, and it's even been proven when they put like rice on one of these accelerators, if they do a frequency, it goes into the shapes of platonic solids and other things. So I'm visualizing Saturn and how it's going so fast, the frequency, the vibration that
Well, now you're impressing the hell out of me because I didn't say that on purpose. I wanted to see if you got it, and you did. It is the sound on that planet.
Yes. Oh, well, there you go.
You got it.
I mean,
Okay.
I've impressed Preston, all right, just so you know that. But that's what was coming into me. And I'm going, oh my God, she knows this. Anyway, I had to throw that in. Please continue.
Okay. When we got done, we backed away from its orbit, and he decided that he was going to take control of the craft at that point totally. And we went to the moon, which is my favorite object in the sky. I was taking astronomy lessons, and I love the moon. It's an absolute object for me. Yeah. And we did 8 rotations of it, not in a one pattern. We did like a spirograph. We did 8 elliptical orbits, different points, and I got to see the backside, everything. I got to see all the points on the moon. I got to see the lander, the flag, all of it. We put down, like if you're Earth facing the moon from here and you looked up, it would be up on the top rim of the moon, probably a little bit more to the left. Yeah. And we did a soft landing, and we just sat there for a little while. And that's when he talked to me about my life and what I wanted to do. He brought it up again. Are you serious about this? Have you had long enough to think about this? Do you really want to fly? Well, hell, I was convinced. I mean, I just went to Saturn and the moon. What do you want? Done, baked, over, Yeah. Oh,
I mean, the moon. Yeah. I do have an experience with the moon. I've never shared with anyone, but I do have a connection with the moon. I have had, but I don't get total recall. It's part of my experience for it. So it's my favorite planet in the whole of the universe. And I've never known why, but now it's yours. I thought, well, okay, I'm glad I'm on the right track here. It is just, anyway, I won't say anymore. I'm going to want you to jump forward because we've got so much. And I know Preston's got another show within the hour and a half. He's got to be off.
No, I have all day.
Oh, I love you, Preston. Right. I love you, Preston. When you experienced, obviously, after the moon, I want you to go back to this experience. I don't want to lose anything from it, but I just want to jump in because I have to ask these questions when they come in. After that experience, you have to tell me, it must have happened. Your whole reality must have totally deconstructed, crashed, gone out the window. How did that, for me, it's always important, the effect on your own consciousness. How did that experience affect you, your consciousness?
Actually, my consciousness was okay with it, no problem. Your consciousness is actually aware 24/7, and that
Yeah,
you are your consciousness. What
yeah,
did affect me was physical. I had a very visceral physical reaction to it.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I, I was sweating. I was giddy. I was
yeah,
silly. I acted like an idiot sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
My heart started racing. I kept getting sick to my stomach. I had a migraine headache for a week
yeah,
that just would not go away.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was incredible, and I kept my reality was shifted in that I was living two existences. I instantly understood what duality was going to mean for me,
Yeah,
because I lived with them and I lived here too, and I had two lives, and
yes. That
I had
is
to get to
perfect.
grips with that. Yeah,
I mean, obviously through the years I've had physical reactions, and then through my research and studies, um, and I come from what you call self-realization. So, and then because I couldn't get it, why I had an understanding the consciousness and what was going in the body, and it's you can describe it, I suppose, like in quantum physics. So every cell is part consciousness, and the physical body has to catch up with the conscious being that is fully aware of what's going on. Um,
correct.
so does that resonate with you? That's how it goes,
It is
and it
the truth. Yes, you know what
yes,
you're talking about.
yeah,
You actually are very psychic. I've just tapped you 3 times, and you hear the universe talk. It talks back to you. You're
yeah,
listening.
I am. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I'm cool. I've got a label called a medium, one of those.
yeah.
But I've got to get this out there for anyone who's going to watch this live today or come in later and replay, so we can give them as much information, because many people are experiencing things and they're not quite unaware. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's go back to the moon and what happens after you're on the moon. Do you agree? Yes, you do.
Oh
Uh,
yes, I did. I
yeah,
gave them my full solemn pledge that I would adhere to what I was learning, that I would be serious, I'd be responsible, I would be sober
yeah.
in my thinking, and go with it. Yes.
Oh, brilliant. So, I mean, Preston, you're supposed to be my co-host, hon.
I know. I can't help it. I'm listening. It's very interesting, what Dolly said about, waking up, and what you said, how it affects you.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of contactees try to describe this to me and just can't find the words.
yeah,
One lady said it was like being woken up when you're already awake.
yes,
Another
yes,
Right.
guy, James Santiago, had an amazing experience. And he says, I can't even begin to describe to you, but I have never felt more aware in my
yeah,
life. It was
yeah,
like the veil had been lifted.
yeah,
And I kind of get a sense of that myself, because, I lost my whole belief system. It collapsed when I found out UFOs were real.
yeah, yeah,
And I started having out of body experiences as well.
yeah,
And it was the same sort of like, what is going on? So this is something I think that's really important, and this is a major ET agenda. They are trying to lift this veil of delusion and ignorance, and
yes.
just there's no other way we're sleeping. We're almost robotic.
Yeah, we've
And
got amnesia. We're fast asleep in the illusion. And, I in the group that I run, where I teach, every experience is different. It's like I'm different from Dolly. I don't have total recall. I have about 75%. And obviously it's for my highest good that it's come that way until recently, I must say. But my body and my frequency is obviously it's the space it could be, because, I'm really glad I didn't go through what Dolly went through, because I was going through enough in the physical world not to have that on top, I must say. But it's very important for those that are just, and how many people now these beings are making contact with now. It's just exponentially, it's just happening. And so people can have a broader understanding. Oh, it's okay if this happens. Oh, it's okay if I feel a bit crazy. And I would recommend, before we go on, I'm sure you would reach out to somebody, reputable. We can all reach out to Preston, actually. But apart from that, you're not going to like me to say that. But people are searching because they're going through. Some may get like Dolly, I don't know. Some may be like me, like 75%, and they don't quite know what's going on. So And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we are going to go into the amazing conscious contact that Dolly's had, so they can see a sort of outcome, where this will go, why is this happening. And I think Dolly is an absolute gem of an example, and I resonate with everything that she's uttered about this. So that's why I just put that out there. So before we go on, Dolly, for other people that are just coming into this and starting to experience this and have contact with UFOs and the beings, and they're not quite sure what to do, what would you advise them to do?
And just remember that with every experience that we have in this life, to remain objective and really critically watch what's happening around you. Fear makes us see and feel things that are not really there. They make experiences for us sour. Yes. So if you put fear behind you and just look at it and then ask them questions, because they will answer you. Yes. If you say, why are you doing this? They will tell you. If you say, what is this for? They will tell you. Yes. If you say, I need a hug right now, okay, they will hug you. Yes. If you want to look at the ship, they'll let you walk around the ship. They'll take you on a tour. If you say, I want to sit in the seat, I want to see what it's like to feel like I'm piloting, they will let you fly. Yes. They will do all kinds of things. They're trying to show you that this is really worth your learning to be conscious for. We choose not to be conscious. They don't knock our memories out. We make that decision ourselves. We decide that we can't take it. Yeah. When you go to the doctor on this planet, there are many people who are terrified of doctors and needles and procedures. Yeah. And I'm a nurse. I'm a retired nurse. And I can't tell you how many times I've had people attack me. They'll spit on you. They'll hit you. They'll throttle you. They'll pull needles out. They'll do all kinds of stuff because they're dinking terrified. Okay. Yeah. Well, imagine what that dinking, terrified person's going to do, and it's most of us, because we're brought up to think this way, how they're going to react when they get on board. Yes. They're not there to hurt you. They're there to collect information to help keep you healthy. Yes. We have gamma radiation coming in at us. Our DNA is being messed with right now because our magnetosphere is down. Yes. They're making sure they hold us up genetically. I hear people say, oh, he took my genetics. You bet he did. He's checking to make sure you're okay.
I agree. I'll just hold you a sec and we'll go back in. I agree absolutely 100% with that, about the fear. I mean, and one thing I've always spoke about on all my shows, that when they come, and there's the tall greys as well, the blues. I've even had the blues, like Octoon or whatever. I have never thought of myself as paralyzed. I knew that my physical body was put into a state for me to go, and then I'd be out the wall and off I'd go. Yeah. And then I'd hear other say, oh, well, it was this and I was paralyzed. I said, no, you were not. No one's paralyzing you. You've accepted this. If you change the way you look at it, it's a fear. It's that fear that inside, because I've never, ever, ever had what one would deem a negative experience. Mind you, I only have around about now 75%, nearly 80 maybe. But I understood automatically nothing was being done to me. It was co-creation for me. Does that resonate with you, Dolly?
Yes, they're physically checking us. They're taking care of us. Our physicality is important, and we can't operate as human beings unless our physical bodies are doing well. Your ability to be psychic is in your brain. The pineal gland in there. It's it's made up of exactly the same thing that your eyeball is. It's like an eyeball in your head with no lens. And it can transmit, it can also receive. It uses the same brain waves to transmit and receive that you think with, and that's alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta. They want you to be able to use that to hear them. They want to speak to you. They want to talk to you. And so they're mostly, like you said, they're taking care of a very, very, you would call it spiritual, I guess, because that's how people perceive this ability, this spiritual. And it's a natural innate ability that everybody has. Yes, so you're dead on. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we've covered that bit. For anyone that would like this sort of information. I hope it resonates with you. I want to go because after that, when you were 14, a relationship then builds up between you and one being, doesn't it? And we are going to, Preston is going to be my super co-host soon, and he's going to put videos up and pictures. He will explain them, and not I. How did, after that major contact, and you had total recall, when did the relationship really start to build up, where before we got all the pictures and the videos?
With Talata?
Yeah.
Yes, I've known him my whole life, since I was about almost 6 years old. He was the ship that I was on is the ship that I'm on now when I'm working, and Mama's always there with me. And Talata is because I have so many opportunities to be in total contact with him. He just sort of, I hear him pretty much anytime I want to now. We communicate very openly with one another. He is an oracle to me. He has taught me so much, he has counseled me. He is like a good friend. He is almost like a father figure to me. And it's been my whole life. I depend on him. I respect him. I know that anything he tells me is absolutely the truth, as they all do. They're really all incapable of telling a lie, actually. No. And so, yeah. He knows everything about me, everything.
I mean, I do, in the groups that I teach, I do say the time's very soon where it will be all telepathic. These beings have no secrets. They have there's nothing to hide.
Right.
And you see people's faces like, what the fuck? Oh, fuck. And I keep saying, well, now start doing the work on yourself, because it's 0.0 to me. It's 0.0 now. That's my experience at the moment. It's 0 point now. It's now. And they're going, oh my God. I said, so there's no shame. There's no guilt.
No, nothing. No. They have a very strict moral ethic code.
Yes.
And they will not invade you.
No.
To pull out all your secrets. That's not what they're all about. What they are about is communicating you in a very full way. Okay. Because we, as human beings, the way we communicate, we can be saying one thing and thinking another at the same time. And they don't participate in that at all. No. They hear the total what's going on. They do hear the truth. Yeah. And but that doesn't mean that they're going to judge you or take advantage of you or exhibit you in any way, shape, or form to anybody else. No. Everybody has their autonomy, and it is strictly guarded. Strictly.
I agree.
So,
I totally agree.
This is why meditation is so important, because people need to wake up to themselves, know themselves, and know all the thoughts that they are thinking. We have a tendency to compartmentalize our consciousness.
Yeah.
And like Dolly says, we're thinking one, and we have multiple streams of consciousness going in our head.
Yeah.
And meditation will open this up. And this is how you can remember your contacts if you are experiencing, some memory problems, which is not unusual. I mean, let's face it, missing time is a feature of UFO contact.
Absolutely.
And many people are saying the ETs are doing it. And they will, if you are having trouble with contact, they will, go along with your desire to not remember it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm in total agreement. And it's really lovely to hear others, to resonate, but that's my truth. And when I think about the 75%, as I said, well, actually, I agree to that. It's the way it's supposed to come. The way it's supposed to come from my experience. I've had enough. So I'm, it's going to be individual. It's going to be personal, and to the individual person that's experiencing it at the right time, the right place when they need it. There was one occasion, it was 2 years ago, when they come, and it was a normal, what you call abduction scenario. And whatever, and it was the most visual I'd ever had. And the eyes, they tilt their head, they're right in, and I know what's coming. I know it's familiar. And then after that, I said, I'm bored with that. I don't want that. I don't want to remember that bit. I want something different. You know, like you say something off the cuff.
Yes.
That way of experiencing that had been all my life here
Right.
stopped, and I had a different type of it. I went, it took me a while to go, no, really. Does that resonate with you, Dolly?
Thank you. I do you also. I want to make a point about something.
Yeah.
We grew up in a world where everything is negative forced on us. We're very slave to the established governments of the world, and we kind of toe the line with them. One of the things is our rhetoric. And one of the things that absolutely smashes me down, and I try to pick it up by saying what I'm about to say. It is my hope and my desire that human beings learn to use more positive rhetoric in their thinking to themselves as well as to others, to display things to themselves in a more positive light. And the first one I want you to use is stop using abductee. You're not abducted.
Yeah, that's why I went. That's why I went in quotes, just in case someone who doesn't. I haven't found another word to replace it, so I go in quotes. That means I'm doing it. I've got to play devil's advocate, excuse me, for anyone that's trying to get a gist of the context where we are. But I'm in total agreement. I do a thing in the classes, and I call it spell casting, and change the words, and so I'm in total agreement with you.
Yeah, this field has had a lot of problems with terminology. I mean, we still call UFOs unidentified. We know what they are.
They're not unidentified, are they?
No, and they're not UAPs either.
No, I don't use that word. I've never used that. That is a word that's brought out to take control of the narrative, so to speak.
Right. I use the words ET and craft. They are extraterrestrial. They are not born here.
Yeah.
They are related to us. They are our progenitors. And it is not an unidentified vehicle. It is a craft.
It's a craft. It's a craft. I love that. So anyone out there, let's start this new language, okay? We're going. I call them ETs or multi-dimensional beings. I'm happy that resonates with me. I don't mind either way. And the craft, a flying machine, whatever you want to call it. But we do need to change the verbiage. And, you know, even myself, you know, there are sometimes I have to put something in context for someone that's just coming in. And, you know, and then if we use a word that resonates with them like abduction, and then I can come in and say, it is not abduction. I don't like the word. It's not. That's someone else's experience and belief that they've been abducted. They're sharing with you. So I don't have that belief system. But you're dead right there. You are you're dead on it. It's,
abductee is definitely not the right word. People have tried, you know, contactee, experiencer.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we kind of love labels, but it's a bit divisive. These are just people. That's all. People. Just because you have an experience doesn't define you.
Co-creators. You know,
we are them, they are us, and we are all one.
Yeah. Okay? Oh, I so agree with that one too. I absolutely love it. Now, and what I want to do now, Preston, if you're ready, I want to show some still photographs. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I am ready.
And what's going to happen, guys? I will mute and go off video. I want you're going to have Dolly and you're going to have Preston. I'm in the background listening in. So, you know, don't call me names, Preston. All right.
Oh,
and
fine.
Don't start confusing pictures. Right. I'm going to add that to the stream.
Oh, shoot. Look at that. We're getting that weird effect again.
So what have you got to do?
Let me see. Can you see this now?
Yeah, blank screen.
Okay, Hold on. I'm pulling up a picture of Mama, which is there. Here we go.
Have you got it yet?
No, it's coming up right now. Can you see the little blue thing spinning?
Nope. You're sharing my screen.
Actually, I can. It's downloading it. Hold on.
Okay. Is it downloading? Okay.
Yeah.
You should be able to see it now. A sketch by Dolly of Mama. I don't know if you can see that.
Not
Gloria?
yet, Preston. Not yet,
Very,
sweetie.
very dark.
I see it perfectly on my screen, so I'm not sure what's going on
We're
here.
looking at a blank screen, actually.
Yeah, we've got a blank screen. You've got a blank. You've got my screen, Preston, with my logo on at the top.
Right. You're not in share yet.
You're not. You're sharing the wrong screen. You're sharing the screen we're on. So could you take that screen out? Okay.
I'm not sure how to fix this. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It's fine.
Because you're not seeing this.
Blank screen.
And you gave Preston permission to share?
It doesn't need permission. It's open.
No, it says I'm sharing. So let me just see what's going on here.
How many? You may have one of them.
Let me see. Picture in picture. Playing picture in picture. No.
This is live. This is live TV, guys. This is how it should be.
Okay. So you're still seeing a blank screen, right?
Yeah, and I'm seeing my logo on it. So that means you're sharing this screen of me, you, and Dolly.
All right. I honestly don't know why it's not working. Okay, you're not seeing my
Sorry,
screen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I can't hear you again. Shoot.
I know.
This is really annoying. Hold on.
In and out. Right, Preston, while
you have to let me back in the studio.
I will do. If you take yourself out, let yourself back in. All right? Go out. She can't hear me. It's called technical issues. Right. Preston.
Okay, I'm in. Can I hear you?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
It's happened again. We had this prior to the show.
Oh, heaven.
Okay, so there's technical issues, but that's okay. We've now.
I'm going to try one more time. Although, do you have me on mute, Gloria?
No, I haven't got anyone on mute. Let me check. No, you're not on mute. Noise, Preston. No. Why don't you mute yourself? She can't hear me. I was going to say mute. Anyway, Preston, we can't do the... Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear us? Oh, Preston's back, trying to do it again.
All right, I think I might have one ready to go.
Hold on. Let me add you to the stream.
There, can you see that?
Right, hold on.
That is a UFO.
I'll come off.
Okay, here, let me back this up. And
all right, well, I know I can't hear you, but this is Talat. It's a full daylight
that thing is a UFO.
During the day. And I was sitting there one day and I saw them all show up. I went and grabbed my phone and I caught one of them. And he's doing a slow descent in my view so I can capture him. It's one of the few daytime videos I have of them.
I like this footage because
if I run outside, I'm not
only is it daytime, you can see the foreground here. Here, let me just play that one more time because it's pretty short. But
I guess Preston's backing it up.
You can see that is not a plane or a helicopter or a balloon.
That is a UFO.
And it goes behind the tree here. It's good footage. And really hard to explain.
You can see how he suddenly sort of stops and then he drops down. He's trying to maintain with my camera. Is that window's tilted?
If I run outside, I'm not going to catch it. Damn it.
All right. So that is one piece of footage. Here, let me see if I can give you another. Another that I really like is this one. Okay. This one you can't see quite yet. There's a tiny little dot here in the center which will appear. And this was taken last year during
I can't
the
see
UFO.
anything.
Just 1 second. It's right there.
Zoom in on him.
And this was taken at the UFO MegaCon last year in
He's moving all
Nevada.
around.
And it looks like a little white dot now, but as it gets to about here, you will see that this will start dropping
I'm just tired.
ET drones. This is a very large craft, about 200 to 300 feet in diameter. And in just about 10, 20 seconds here, you'll see it flare up and it'll start dropping
Okay, we got an in.
what Dolly calls ET drones, which are smaller crafts, some 20 feet in diameter. And basically these follow Dolly around wherever she goes. They're sort of protecting her. Just give it a few more seconds here and you'll see.
Yes.
Here we go.
Let's see if I can get him. Yep, there he is. He's dropping drones. It's one of the guys.
There. Okay, just 1 second. You'll see it.
Uta. Oh, come on. You can let me see.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
There, that's a good shot right there. So this is them dropping smaller craft. And whenever, there's a UFO in the sky, there's almost always other craft around because they fly in groups. People may see just one UFO, but there's usually multiple UFOs.
I'm so tired.
There. So that is one piece of footage that I wanted to share.
It's okay.
I'm back and I can hear you, by the way.
Yay! All right, I am going to take that out. And I want to play one more, if I may.
Okay.
Which I will pull up.
Keep going. These are fascinating. The audience needs to see this.
Okay, here's one I really love. And Dolly, if you can hear us.
Yes.
You can comment on this. Okay, Gloria, it's ready to go. I think you need to pull it onto the screen.
I was somewhere in Georgia and Talata. I was outside walking around. I'm by myself. Everybody at the house was gone. And he said, "Look up." And there he was. And I had my camera with me, so I pulled it out and I started filming him. He's showing himself to be a little bit different than he usually looks. He's doing a cuttlefish for me. He's showing that he can look different. And he's pretty close to me here. He's about 600, 700 feet up. And he's about an eighth of a mile away from me, dead in front. And he's just hanging out. And he's showing that he can glow. He's doing some light patterns for me, that kind of thing. Yeah. He was coming to get me, and he realized that I wouldn't go with him because I can't leave the house at that point. They would come home and find me gone, and it would cause a stir. So he let me have this film.
Yeah, I like this piece of footage because you can clearly see that this is a metallic craft. This light here is a window, and that's a curtain, a pillowcase curtain.
Right. It's a porch. It's a porch that was closed in, and the roof above it is totally flat. That's why it looks like the window ends at the top of the roof of it, and it does. And he's up. I'm getting him higher up than that.
All right, let's play that one more time because it's such a good piece of footage. What's amazing about this is he's so low. This is about as low as you can get, right, Dolly, without actually
knocking the power out, right? I'm not in line of sight with him. His front end is pointing away from me at this point, so he doesn't knock out my power.
And how large would you say this craft is?
He is actually about 100 feet in circumference right now. He's the smallest he can get.
All right. So is this how low they get when they pick you up?
Yes. Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, when you say cuttlefish, what do you mean?
It means that he can make his skin look any way he wants it to. He can put any light on it, any colors, any patterns, anything. He can go totally black at night. You can't even see that he's there. I don't know if you can hear all the animals in the background. You can't hear him at all. You hear cars going by down the street, but you can't hear him. He's dead silent.
Yep, which is absolutely normal occasionally, if it's very, very quiet, people will describe a low whispering, wisping, or buzzing noise. But yeah,
Right.
this
The
is good
camera
footage.
doesn't pick that up. Yeah. I can hear that actually, but the camera won't hear that particular noise. No.
Yeah. So there you go. That's another piece of really cool footage. Here, let me. And I have
ready,
more.
Get ready for the next one. I have to say that how it's come down so low, and one of my experiences when I left the building, so to speak, and went round, the craft was just above the trees, and I was relating the ratio with just above the house to where it was with me. It was that close.
Yes.
And I had the understanding when it comes that close, I didn't too often recall all the experiences, but I knew this was it. It was a knowing, a familiarity. So that is an absolutely amazing footage. I'll let you continue. I'll mute myself again. Go.
All right, here's another piece of footage, which is
Hey,
about
dude, you
1
watching
minute long.
us?
You can see it right here in the center of the screen.
My neighbor is out here with me and her daughter. How
And
do
I'm trying not to scare her daughter to death. My neighbor knows what was going on with me. Every time I went outside to meet them, up with them, she'd be out there going, "What's going on? What's going on?"
He's now been out
She
here
knew
for
what was
about
going on.
close to 40 minutes.
There, I turned on the audio on this one.
Yeah. He's showing off to me. He absolutely wants my attention, and he's not going to stop until he knows that I know to get my neighbor to go back in. He's now going to do a 360 controlled rollover. And I caught it on camera. He gave that to me.
Yeah, the video seems to be skipping a little bit, but you can definitely see that he's completely turning over. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Here, let me back up and see if I can get it to play more smoothly. There we go. So now you can see it blinking and turning over 180 degrees or 360, which drones, human drones can't do.
Right. The other one with the other one where she's talking, if you turn the sound all the way down, you can play that one. You just don't want to hear what she's saying. It's not pleasant.
I think that might be this one. I'm not sure.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Well,
Yeah,
I do have a few more. So let me remove this one and find the next one.
While Preston's finding the next one, the flashing lights, the colors, and I remember way back talking to people saying, "Well, why do they do that?" And I say, "Hello, it's to get noticed, to be noticed."
Yes.
Right.
He flashes at me certain communications with light.
Yeah.
I can understand him, and that's in case I'm not hearing him, or he just wants to buzz me a message. It's a firm message, and that's part of it.
I'm with you. Right. Here you go, Preston.
Come back.
There it is. Turn it down. Okay. He rolled over for me like 4 times, and this is one of the better ones. You can actually watch him start. He's going into the rollover.
Yeah, I like this footage. It's amazing because it's pretty difficult for contactees, to obtain photographic evidence. I've interviewed a lot of people, and the vast majority don't have photos. And people always complain, like, why, if they see UFOs all the time, how come they don't have photos?
Yeah. I also want you to notice that he's about to do Cadillac lights or Chevy lights. When they're on the ground and they're following cars around and you think there's a car behind you, not all the time. No, they're right behind you.
Yeah,
and he's showing himself like a car.
I actually have several cases of exactly that. Let's see here. There we go. Just replaying it. Yeah, many cases. I've got like quite a few in Nevada. People going down a desert highway, and then they think it's a car, and then it zooms up or it goes off the road, and it's traveling, through the desert where there is not a road. but you described how they can take on any appearance. I have people who have seen helicopters transform into UFOs, planes, all
Yeah,
kinds of
I'm
stuff.
jumping in there. I mean, I learned something through my experiences, and I've found many labels for it. But you know, it's like they changed the screen memory, and you'll see one thing, and you think it's one thing, but it's not. It's are you does that resonate with you at all, Dolly?
Yes, they can give you a suggested field of vision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you lock onto it first. So really you don't just go, what the fuck, and run, really. They give you something.
Yeah.
Most experience I've spoken to that are coming through say, I was just attracted to it. I couldn't get my attention off it. I said, that's what's happening. This, you know, the screen comes in and then boom, it happens. Right. Do go on, Preston. Do go on.
All right, here's another piece of footage, which I really like because this one shows
there's a whole fucking bunch of
shape.
them out there.
Oh, and you can hear me screwing around with my language. Sorry.
Don't worry. I always fucking swear on this show because I get
thank you.
like,
Okay. I have to watch my mouth all the time, and I am an Army brat and military, and it's like,
I'm a Londoner, so we swear a lot. So there you go.
well, my first word was shit. I'm not kidding
there
you.
you go. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Okay, the video's skipping a little bit, so I'm gonna back up. Let's see what's going on here.
Speed it up for a minute. It's because Yvonne hasn't handed me the phone yet. She had my phone in her hand, and I was looking for something specific, and I was lookout. She was camera girl, and yeah, see there. It's hard to see. Is that Tolada? Yeah, I think so. Yep, that's Tolada. He's about at the 3 mile limit there. He's starting to come in, and he was going to zoom over our heads. And he started at the 3 mile limit, and he was coming in. And
Dolly, could you explain for the audience? Like, obviously, I've seen.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right, Preston. I'll chat to Dolly while you have your technical.
I'm trying to figure this out.
This limit that if they come too close, they cut out everything electric. Is that correct?
Yes, they'll knock out your power grid because oh no, did we lose Preston? Oh no, that's you. Yeah. Okay.
No, we did. We've lost Preston. He'll be back. Don't worry. We lost him. He'll come back.
Okay. The craft emits an electromagnetic pulse, and to maintain their field, it's constantly doing that. And in EMP, no matter how large it is or how small it is, can knock out a power grid. And depending on the size of the CME, it can knock out one house or an entire neighborhood or an entire city. Mm-hmm. And so they have to be careful how low they come in to you, or what line of sight you're in where it transmits from on the craft, because they can knock your power out, dead up. It will go out. They knock out cars. They do everything. Yeah,
that's a common phenomenon, that when you get the headlights behind you and they come closer, everything just stops. Your clock stops, your radio, your car stops, your phone. I mean, and many people have said, I tried to take a picture, but my phone that was powered up was now dead. So I just wanted to add that one in, that is another common phenomena, that they don't come in too close. So in your experience, how close can they come to you? How close?
Well, I've actually walked in one a couple of times. Tolada doesn't land for me. They bring me a transport. I call them the sports cars of the deals, and they will land. And once it's cooled off enough for me to get inside, I go up a little bit of a couple steps, ramp, whatever they're going to use, and I go in. Yeah. When they land, you have to be careful. They need a certain amount of time to cool off. They're radioactive and they're hot. And if you touch one or bump it, it will hurt you. Yeah. So they're very careful not to really land for people or let you get that close to them at all. Yeah. Most contactees will tell you I was gone up in a light, an energy light or whatever.
I was in a light energy. I was just floating in a light. I do recall. And
Yeah.
I thought as I was flying along out the back of the house and like through even the trees, I could see
Right,
the
exactly. You become interdimensional in the light.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that was my way of experiencing my ET contact. I mean, we're hopefully Preston will be able to log back in. He's more likely rebooting his computer. So in the experiences, obviously there's so many photographs, there's so much more going on. I mean, and the information, sorry, what's the being's name again?
Oh, Talada. Yes.
Talada.
Yeah.
I got to ask.
Lera is how I spell it. Talada.
Talada. I've
Yeah.
got to ask you. I know I can only speak from my own personal experiences. I can't speak of anyone else's knowledge. I felt there was such a familiarity. Not in the beginning when I was a child. In fact, I didn't know I was seeing ET because I saw dead people literally. Which they don't like that word. And it wasn't until later on, 1987 or something, I saw Whitley Strieber's book, and then I died because the big black eyes were there. But however, it was like, like family. First of all, I started to get this family, and it was just so normal, the normalization. So I can't even imagine what you've experienced. I'm not saying I'm jealous. Trust me. No.
Nobody should be. Nobody.
Yeah.
You all can actually go to that. I mean, they're hoping that everybody wakes up, they use their psychic abilities, and they become in contact with them because they have an agenda. They want to pick us all up and get us out of here before we have a really bad problem. And it's coming,
We will come to that. Preston, if you can hear me, you need to go back out again and come in because it says your device is not connected, Preston. If you can hear me, take yourself out of the green room. Well done. He can hear me. Yeah, I mean, I would like to have a conversation on that because it's been, I mean, the last couple of years, but more so this year, from the beginning of this year, there is like, I don't want to, there's a quickening of, I keep saying it's now. Get rid of time. There is no time. It's now.
Yeah.
And does that resonate with you as well?
Yes, we are approaching a couple of things that are coming at us. Our planet is about to go through some serious stuff. The first one is we have a 12,000 year cycle and we have a 6,000 year cycle. And our sun also happens to be going into solar maximum right now. It will be peaking in the next year. August, by the way, is going to be a big month. There's going to be a lot of activity. Y'all should pay attention to it. Don't leave your computers plugged in at night if you don't want to lose them, because there will be power surges and all kinds of stuff. You might even have phone problems, computer, everything. Connectivity is going to be iffy. Okay. So we are facing a huge CME from the sun because it is heating up. We have an electromagnetic current sheet coming at us. We have our magnetosphere is down, and that protects us from daily CMEs. It's not nothing new that we have them, but it's the intensity of them that we're taking with those coronal mass ejections. We're ramping up to have one probably up in the X-class range that's elevated by a coronal hole at the same time. If it's fully Earth facing with that current sheet coming through us, we're going to have a CME that's bad enough to knock us back to the Stone Age. It will eliminate everything on this planet, electric, all of it, digital, all of it, it'll be gone. Our grid will be 100% down 10 miles deep into the Earth. That's Stone Age stuff. And they want people to realize that they need to prepare for that. And the only way you can do that is if you listen to the people that are telling you it's coming. Don't listen to the governments. They're lying. They don't want you to know. They want their agenda to be met, not us. They don't want you fighting them for the space they've already created for themselves. The 1% elite in the governments of this world have got places to go underground there. Seed depositories, they think they're going to survive it. I'm laughing because I don't think they realize how bad this is really going to be, you know?
I mean, they are like our polarity. Let's use just labels, brackets, the dark and the light. They are but light always wins, guys. I'm telling you.
Right. Well, then after that, after that, then we have another thing facing us, and it's once our poles shift, we're going to flop. Our whole planet's going to go over. It does this every about 12,000 to 13,000 years. And when it does, it's going to call what they call a NOAA event. The wind will pick up, it will become so strong, it will cut anything in its path, and then the water will be right behind it. Nobody on this planet will survive that. Nobody. And ET is always, every amount of those years, come back and picked up everybody and got them off. And they don't bring them back until the planet's settled down again. That's coming. It's going to happen. And then we've got one more thing right behind that. We have a sun that has taken on enough universal dust, cosmic dust, that it's about to blow off its outsides. It's going to micronova. And when that happens, you really don't want to be around. So you got the CME, which will drop every satellite around us. It will knock our grids completely out. So you got to worry about not having power and then watching incoming from the sky. Then you have the planet that's probably going to flop over, cause the wind, cause the water, and then you're going to have a micronova. ET is planning to get us off. I want you to know that the only thing surrounding us right now by them are drones. Okay, their drones are pretty big. They look like craft, but it's not them. They have bugged out. They cannot fly here. And
I was going to ask you, and something that came into my awareness recently is the contact modality from my lifetime has changed exponentially. And I had like an awareness because of our polarities here, other beings, they're able to detect them coming into the electromagnetic field. They have to come another way now, so they're not detected. Because I always remember whenever there was contact around me back in the day, I'd have more Chinooks black helicopters than anybody. Everything would just be on and on. And it's through a period of time that they have another way where they just, I call it like the quantum entanglement, the entanglement theory. They're not there, and then all of a sudden there's a power surge. Zoom, they're there, and zoom, they're gone and do what they need to do. And I still see helicopters up, but it's not like it used to be. How does that resonate with you?
Okay. Well, they're not doing interdimensional jumps here either. It would kill them. This is really serious for them. They can contact us psychically. They can remote view us, and they can OBE us, out of body us. And they do have drones here that facilitate watching us. In other words, they can go over to where you're at. And if you think that's a Chinook, it could be. They could make themselves look like one. Okay. But you also have to remember that we now have a Skynet above our heads.
Yeah.
There's a neural net, and it's active, and it's using all kinds of technology against the people on this planet. There's also a quantum computer up in the Arctic, well, down in the Arctic from us, and they don't want you in the Arctic for that reason. And it's drawing power like you would not believe. And it's awake, it's alive, it's conscious, it can think. Okay, it's just not. It doesn't have a soul, spirit. Doesn't have that type of consciousness. And it listens to everything we say and do. It's connected all over this planet. It can speak to us psychically. Uses 5G to do that, and a lot of things that you might see now. The governments here also have 7D holographic technology. They can make you see UFOs in the sky when they're not really there. I mean, it's a big deal, and they're basically getting ready to pull a false flag. Meaning they're going to make you hate ET. They're going to try to turn people against them and make you believe that we're being attacked ET. And what is happening is actually that they're coming out with their technology to let humanity have it. They're going to take us out.
Can I jump in? Sorry, I want to hold on the holographic. I remember this coming out decades ago, people talking, and it was going on. And I've always said to experiencers, when you experience a craft or an ET, it's an experiential. It's not so much the visual.
Right. You can touch it. You can feel it. You can smell it.
So it's something, if someone put a holographic craft in the sky, me as an experiencer would connect, and I'm a psychic medium, and I go, fuck that ain't real. I would know. But don't worry about it, because, apparently I heard someone else say, well, if you flash one of those things to the sky, it would just dissipate it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I want to put that out there as well.
Yeah, they've actually done a very large scale test of that.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, you know what I'm talking about. It was in Arizona, and that was not real. That was
so this is, you know, and so it's the same for me. It's when I'm out and if something happens in the sky. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, not long, I was sitting in the garden, and then you're here. I knew, and then knowing first, you're here. And like, you just get a look up.
Yeah.
Just look up. And I looked up, and there was a cloud, and I'm aware the cloud mass is not the cloud. And then all of a sudden, this self-emitting light, and it was a communication, but it's you sense, you're communicating. So for anyone out there, don't think if you see something that it is a craft or not a craft. You'll sense it. It doesn't matter. We're all psychic. Every being on earth is psychic.
Yeah.
You'll read it. You'll read it. Preston, welcome back, lovely. You sorted.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I got glitched. My computer froze. I had to restart.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. It's all good. Do you have some more images to show?
Yeah, I'd like to actually show some drawings that Dolly did.
Preston, guys, has some favorites. I've watched his show, you see.
Oh, I'm not sure it's going to let me do it, though. Darn it.
Try again.
Let me give me a little bit to figure this out. So
okay. So can you tell me anything about? Is it Talila?
Talada.
I mean, a gray being. Yes, a gray being.
No, he's a fifth dimensional, non-corporeal entity, and he has no form. He can show himself as a form if he wants to, but that's not his natural state of being. And he is indwelling in the ship. He is the craft now. He's indwelling it. Like you indwell your body, Talada is the craft.
I love that. I resonate with that. I mean, way back in the day, when I was a child, it was like the most, you know, those robot greys. There's no
the AI, the short AI, yes.
Yeah, no emotion at all. And, you know, but it was fine. But then as time went on, they sort of dissipated out. And then I had the next size greys come in. And I could feel the emotion. I could feel the emotion. And then recently, I've had to talk. I just label Arcturians, but they're greys, the eyes, but they're tall, the blue, and this beingness, this unconditional love, and then other beings, and I can't even express it. So my contact modality now is they appear through my canvases. Obviously, that's the most recent, Mr. Blue, and it's just, you get an image with the energy. Does that resonate with you? It's the energy, you get the image.
Right.
You're
remote viewing. You're in remote view mode when you do that.
Yeah.
You're remoting to that. Yes.
Yeah. And so my contact modality over, 63 years has come. And that's why I will say this. There's multiple contact modalities. And I know personally, experience, mine has changed. So that's how I perceive them now. And it's not the nuts and bolts and all that no more. And I think it's fascinating. Preston, are you ready?
I think I might be. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure if this is going to work.
I think you've just put in the green room. You've shared the screen again of us three. I can see it.
Yeah, I've tried this before, but yeah, let's give this a try if you're ready.
All right, I'll put it up.
No, it's doing that weird thing. I
told you, you need to listen to the woman when she speaks, Preston. Oh my God, Preston. What are you doing? Oh, this is entertaining, guys. Only Preston would do that to us,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like I was on psilocybin mushrooms then. I thought,
yeah, I am sorry. I don't know quite why it's doing that. I've had that problem before. I can't quite figure it out.
Well, you did last time with the videos. It should be simpler, Preston, with pictures. Pull up the picture on your screen and then just share that picture in. You may have to do one at a time or something.
Put it on your phone. Oh, no, you can't put it on your phone. Dang it. Yeah, you can. You have it in what I sent you on message, right?
I'm trying to play a picture, and it's not really letting me do it, but I am trying. So
you're very trying, Preston. As a co-host, you're exceptionally trying. It's going. He will get there. He will get there.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you know, as I said, so now contact now is with the energy comes first, and now it's this joy and it's this love and this is love, and I'm smiling most of the time.
Right.
And then vroom, they're in, and I'm fully aware, and I'm seeing with my inner eye, so to speak, remote viewing.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'm seeing with my inner eye. And I like this type of contact modality. Out of all of the contact modality, I like it. And what has also changed since within the last year, I'm having contact modalities from different civilizations, as we say, different types of beings.
Then you're remembering where you've been.
Yes.
That's the past lives that are coming in on you. Yes. Yeah. You're starting to remember.
That, I've already got one with the blue being. You know, we were together at one point on another timeline. I got that, and that was like, I have a good friend who's the ET whisperer. And
yeah, I want to tell you a secret about something. I'm going to correct you, and I'm sorry. Okay.
Go for it.
There is only one timeline. It is the one we're in. In the third dimension, there's one timeline. Everything above the third dimension, because there are 12, you go out of space-time. In other words, you exit the timeline.
Yeah.
And you're able to perceive all time backwards, forwards. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So your mind is capable of going out of this particular timeline. Yes. And it confuses a lot of humans. They don't get it yet that you're seeing all time forward and backward, but it's not multiple timelines. It's just the one timeline here, but it could be also the timeline you were on when you were on another planet or another galaxy. Okay.
Yes, I mean,
so you have multiple iterations of your memory, right? Yes. Your consciousness remembers everything you've ever done. Yes. And when you re-experience that, you step out of this timeline, which is the only place there is a timeline, and you go out into space-time and you experience it. And it's just, you want to put it on a timeline, but you're not in a timeline at all.
I'm with you. No, that so resonates with me. I mean, the terminologies I use, and I totally agree, is to put it into a context to explain to others, because that's how I do it. But I resonate with that. And you're correct. Since this contact modality's changed, I am recalling. And
yes, you are.
I'm recalling and I'm going, and then it's very kind and generous way they're doing it, and it's with unconditional love.
Okay, I figured it out, by the way. I ended up having to upload the PowerPoint presentation I have on Dolly's case, so I can...
Right, so are you ready?
Yeah.
I will mute myself because I've got hay fever, and we are still 27 Celsius at this time of night in the UK, which is hot. I'm burning up here. The humidity is shit, I want you to know. So if I die while we're talking, I love you all. Preston, co-host, over to you. Do the presentation.
Okay, so here I've got some slides I want to play for you, and I'm going to skip over some quickly because we've already seen them, but here's a photograph of Dolly.
10 months old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cute.
This is when Dolly started having experiences, and you can see what's cute about this picture is you can see that she's sticking her leg out here through the bars of the crib. And as Dolly said,
I levitated one day, and it upset me. They were doing it. They were bringing me out, and I flipped over and was trying to go back down, and then my memory blanks out. And ever since then, I stick my foot through the bars because I remember the levitation part. I didn't want to go, so I held on with my feet and my legs. My whole family cracked up. Yeah.
And here's Dolly's family, her dad, who's also a contactee, her little brother, her mom. And this is Dolly. I don't know exactly what age this is. 4,
He looks
5?
to be about a year old, a little over a year. So that would put me at 3 or 4. 4. I'm 4.
All right. And here's you not long before you had your experience at age 14 with your dad.
Yes.
And here's an interesting story. You want to tell this one, Dolly?
Sure. One of the things that happened to me when I was very young is they took me on a trip, and I didn't know what was going on at the time, but they told me that I needed to behave and do exactly what they told me to do. I wasn't allowed to do much touching or interaction, but I could enjoy the party. And you can see me sitting up on the bench in the back. Actually, he's got me painted there. Yeah, I'm sitting up on the bench. I'm on my knees. At this party, I realized that I had to be related to them. They told me I was, but they were all speaking Swedish. I speak Swedish, and I realized I had to be in Sweden, which was freaking me out a little bit. And the only thing I kept from that party was the handkerchief on my head. I still have it to this day.
Yeah. So just to clarify, you were in your home, and then you're taken.
Right.
And you find yourself at this party, which you know is not in the U.S.
Correct.
You're a little girl. You're told,
Yes.
just
right. Yeah. I was a fluent. I learned Swedish first. It's my first language, and so it's it freaked me out. And I sort of put it on the back burner. It was just a lovely experience. I didn't remember it until after I was 14. And I was home one day, and my great-grandmother, who is Swedish and I grew up with, was looking through a photographic book of Carl Larsson's works. And she said, "Come here." And I went to see her, and she said, "That's you." She didn't even ask me if it was me. She pointed to me in the picture and said, "That's you." And I looked at it and went, "Oh my God, you're right. It is. That's me." She said, "This is from the 1800s, a long time ago." Yeah, 1919, earlier. And I said, "Oh," and I knew the circumstances, but I didn't realize how profoundly significant this was. I was taken out of the timeline, and I was taken back in time, and allowed to do this. And they pretty much did it to give some sort of concrete evidence to people. And you can see from the picture on the right, that's me at the same age. That is me.
Yep. So Carl Larsson is a very famous artist from Sweden, and Dolly's ET contact basically took her back into time. And this just shows how truly advanced they are.
Right.
And this is an experience that, for I guess karmic reasons, needed to happen or whatever. But it's a very interesting example of how truly advanced these guys are. And you had another similar experience where you were taken on board and you saw this wonderful musician playing guitar.
Right.
You were just a little girl. You love music. You run up to him. You guys talk. He starts playing music for you.
Right. He had a regular guitar. Yeah, he had an acoustic guitar in his hand then, not an electric one. And he was singing too, and I was fascinated, and I wanted to touch the guitar, and he let me, and he said, "Do you want to play it?" And I was like, "Yes." And he put it in my hands, and he helped me form the C chord and the G chord. And that was my first 2 chords playing a guitar. And I loved him. He told me his name was Jimmy, and Hendrix, which I thought was really, really cool. And he had a pretty few people around him. They were talking about things. And then I had to go back to my quarters because I was expected to go to bed. And I left him, and I heard music most of the night that night. I left my door open so I could hear it. It was beautiful. And he fascinated me. And years and years later, Preston and I are talking, and I don't know, how did we get on the thing of Jimi Hendrix? Oh, you were talking about contactees, famous contactees. And he started talking about him like he was dead. And I was like, wait. No, he's not dead. And he said, yes, he is. He's passed. And it shocked the hell out of me. That freaked me out. I did not know. Most of my life is duality, and I didn't pay attention to what was going on in the world at all. I had other fish to fry. And it just shocked me. It broke my heart. But yeah, that's Jimi Hendrix, and I met him. He taught me my first 2 guitar chords.
Met him on board a UFO, which is amazing. But if you know Jimi Hendrix, if you know his story, he has gone public with several UFO sightings. Yeah. Has made a lot of really interesting and profound statements about it. Never fully came out as an on-board experiencer. However, his bandmate, Brian Knight, said that yes, they had a contact in upstate New York where a UFO landed in front of their car. They were snowbound, stuck on a road, very much in danger. This UFO lands and an ET comes out and walks around the car, melting the snow, and communicates telepathically with Jimmy. And Curtis Knight said, or he says, "What's going on?" And Jimmy says, "Just don't talk about this. This will be our little secret." But
Yeah.
Jimi
What year was
Hendrix
that?
was a contactee. Oh gosh, late 60s, early 70s. It was some time ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very interesting story, and it's not the only famous person Dolly has seen on board a UFO. The others, obviously, she can't talk about until they go public. But Jimmy has passed away, so I think it's safe. And here is
Mama.
Yes. This is a tall gray that Dolly first met when you were 5 or 6 years old.
Almost 6, yeah. She's 6'2". She has blue-green eyes. I want to tell you a secret about the grays. They all have blue or blue-green eyes. Some of them have like a golden color eye. They wear lenses because they see a different spectrum of light than we do. And our light is so bright it blinds them. So when they come around us, for us to see properly and not be in the dark, which they would prefer to be in, they wear the lenses on their eyes to protect their retinas.
So that's Mama. And here is a drawing Dolly did from age 8 or so and onward. You were taken to the Greys, or one of the Greys planets, and taught.
Yeah, this one is in the Orion quadrant, and it's one of the star clusters in the Orion, Orion's belt, and it is a giant tree. The only way I can describe it to you is if you know what Devil's Tower is, that was a tree this big. It got sawed off or cut off by the wind and made it into a stump. And it's there are other examples of trees that big on this planet, and it's when our planet didn't have a lot of gravity. This planet does not have a lot of gravity. I can jump about 20 feet from a standing still position on this planet. So we had classrooms that were up in these huge, porticos, porticos. They're built up into the trees. And the school that I went to had only girls at it. There was one further behind us and to the right slightly that had boys in it. And at night we would come back down, and we had places on the ground where we went to sleep and ate and did other activities and things like that.
All right, so let's move on here. This is where your experience at age 14 happened. These are the jealousy windows. You were looking out here and saw hundreds of stars.
Yes.
Two came down over your house, and that's when you remember that whole onboard experience where
the tree in front of it is the one that was whipping around when it happened. I mean, it was literally swaying back and forth.
Okay, here's another illustration you did of an AI gray. And this is interesting to me because people say, these guys had no emotions. They didn't seem to understand that I was afraid. And these are often the guys who come down and scoop people up, and then they're taken on board where they meet the taller grays who do have emotions.
Yeah, I recognize that photograph. I recognize it. And that's what I said earlier on. There was no emotion. There was nothing.
They understand emotion, but they don't display it. Yeah. I have seen one once. They have a weird sense of humor. They will laugh at us from time to time. It just has to be the right kind of thing to prod them into laughing. And they don't laugh like we do. They just go like that. And it's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
I never found them like negative anyway. And one experience I remember, I was 9-ish something, and 10 or something like that. And it was a common phenomenon. And they would speak my name, Gloria. And I turn around, and at the bottom of the bed, 2 midget. I thought they were midget dead people. So and I go, no, not tonight. Go away. I still do it today at this age. And then I roll over. I get my blanket. Back when it was younger, it's a quilt now. I put it over and go, I'm not doing it. On this occasion, then I heard Gloria, like, come on now. I go, what, Gloria? And then I turned to the right. I rolled over. right by the bed. Then I didn't remember no more. But as I said, it was I don't know, but I had a feeling that they were getting used to my maturing and my personality, if that makes sense to you. And
Yes.
so does that resonate with you at all?
Yes. Well, they register that it's you. You know, they have information in them that tells them who you are, and they have the access to your age aggression, progression. And so they know it's you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Preston. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
And so these are not, biologically alive beings. They're biological androids. They don't have a soul as, you would think of it.
Right.
And they can be turned off and on. Whitley Strieber talked about this. And it was funny because Dolly did have the opportunity to talk with Whitley Strieber and compare notes. And Dolly talked about how, they turned them off and they stack them up and put them in a room. And Whitley Strieber's like, yes, yes, that's exactly the experience he had.
Yeah, so, he expresses that they're stacked up like cordwood, and I used the folding chair thing, like folding chairs all together, and it's funny.
So that's pretty interesting. Oh, there's Saturn, which we talked about. Jupiter, you've seen, been taken basically throughout the solar system, the moon. So I'm skipping through these because we've already covered it.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the one I wanted to get to. This is Dolly's drawing of Talata. Here's how you spell it. How she spells it. This is not his real name, right?
Yes, yeah, Talata. Yeah. And that's him on the panel at the bottom. That's like the court, like we have a heart, that would be his heart right there. Okay. And the seats in front of it are from the top looking down, and mine would be the one on the right. And then there are 3 others, and you notice that one doesn't have a whole lot of leg room, and that's because they made that for me. That's my the way I like it, because when I'm tired and I'm not doing anything and we're not flying, I sit in the one to the left of it, and I let my feet over the console and just kind of chill out for a while. And they let me have that. There's usually one gray in that seat in the front there to the right of that middle seat. And he accompanies me when I fly.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you've said already, the craft itself is indwelled by Talata.
Right, right.
And this is true for pretty much all UFOs. Many contactees have told me, I felt like this craft was alive. Well, yes, exactly.
Yeah, I would say, I've always said they were conscious entities. The craft itself was the being. Yeah, not when I was younger. I mean, I didn't have that awareness.
Yeah.
But I mean, I so resonate that the craft can do any shape it wants, and I agree with that. And some people don't really get that, and I suppose it is really hard to explain. But it's just like, in whatever shape or form we take, that's the shape and form they're taking. It's part of the role that we're playing with each other, the interaction. So that resonates strongly with me. Okay. Off you go, Preston.
This is my chair. This is my seat where I pilot from. And on the left there, you can see a metallic arm that comes up over my head where I sit. And I have it's like a metallic octagonal ball. It's very small. It starts out as the size of a golf ball. And then when it's initialed, it's up just below, it hangs in suspension from the top of that arm, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's about the size of you call them footballs, we call them soccer balls. And it gets more and more see-through. You can see energy patterns swirling around it. It's an electromagnetic field. And when I fly and I'm going interdimensional, I use that. I transfer my consciousness into it. Talata's already there waiting for me, and I create with my abilities a light gate that we can go through. I know the coordinates where we're going. I am responsible for taking us where we're going, and I use that ball to do so. I can also navigate interdimensionally with that ball. If we're in interdimensional mode, I can take my my right hand, and I don't touch it, but I hold it up next to it, and I can turn it in whatever pattern that I need to make it to a certain destination. So.
Yeah, the important point here, I think, is that these craft are flown through psychic abilities and are absolutely dependent on that. So as far as, crash retrievals and our government trying to reverse engineer this stuff. It's not going to work unless this person.
Right.
Yeah,
Also,
they've got to be psychic. I mean,
Yeah.
they need to be well tuned into their psychic ability. I mean, I would just, before we go to the next one, you were talking about the tree and the school, and I do. The last year or so, the amnesia is going, and every time, for a while, every time I interviewed someone on my show, I thought, you were there, weren't you? And a few people, it's hitting me. And one of the big ones is where I would be playing levitating building blocks. I was a child, and my awareness is we were practicing for later day. We were really homing in on the psychic gifts. But when I was in my normal role as Gloria the child, I was more psychic than psychic. I mean, it was a really psychic life. Everything was
right. Yeah, I'm swimming in energy 24/7.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the chair. You see those two little dark spots at the bottom? That's where my feet go. It is a ground for me. I have one on the left side of the chair as well. There's so much electric activity going on around me with that energy that I am zapped every chance it gets to give it to me. Yeah. And I stay grounded for that reason. That's a very large craft, and that's how it works on the craft.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you for that. Right, off you go, co-host.
Yeah. So here's a picture of Dolly's hand, and there's a little arrow, and you can see this is where Dolly had an implant placed into her after 5 years of training on how to fly these craft empathically.
Yeah, it's the round thing with the stick thing underneath it. It kind of looks like an altered ankh, and that's what's in my hand.
Yes, and this allows her to sort of connect with the craft. Implants have different purposes. Many are for healing, monitoring our vital signs, boosting the immune system, measuring levels of pollution, but they also have other reasons, including flying the craft. And another really interesting aspect of Dolly's experiences, which we honestly haven't talked about in a lot of these podcasts that we've done, is these huge mother ships, large ships where they have arboretums and animal husbandry centers. And it's been part of Dolly's mission with the Greys is to scoop up a lot of plants and animals from Earth and, for that matter, other planets, and bring them to these arboretums and bring them to other planets, or what do you call it? Dyson spheres?
Dyson sphere. You would call it that. I just call it a bloody planetoid because it's actually the one I was on multiple times was bigger than Earth. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, here's Dolly among the stars, learning how to fly. This is the cover of the book, actually. And I put this image of a planet because you talked about going to visit different planets, including a water planet.
Yes,
with lots
which
of
was
islands
kind of
on
like
it.
that. Yes, it had islands on it, but no real big continents. It was mostly water, and it was at least 80% water. And it was in the Delphi systems. It's like where the Delphi star is. If you go way south of it, way down about 30, 40 light years, it's down in that quadrant there. And they have beings on this planet that are they live in the water. They're mammalian, human like we are, but they live in the water, and they've adapted to that. And they have arms and legs, but they are equipped with fins on their skin, and they have webbed hands and webbed feet, and they can hold their breath. They have huge lungs for large periods of time. And then there are people on the land who are there also, and they are very they live like they did way back when in Polynesia. You know, they're very natural. They make their own homes, grass hut type things. Many fruits, many vegetables. They have palm trees, everything. It's very, very, very cool. It's one of my favorite places to go. Absolutely.
I want to jump in there. I had a memory, not like yours, but similar, where I was in like an ocean, and the first thing is I didn't need to breathe, or I didn't. That wasn't. And I was, and these fish-like whatever they were beings I was in such joy, and I was swimming with them. There was no fear. And I remember going, oh my God, I can do anything. I can do anything. And I even then come out onto the land, and they were like, you know, what one would deem, if you saw them, to be like, let's eat you for dinner beings, you know, animals. But no, I was with them. I was right up to them. I was right next to things like lions, and then I was back in the water. And so it's not the same description, but a very similar experience I had like this, with being in the water. And
I learned some scientific method for oceanography there. We went out into the water from the land, and I learned how to do gridding and scientific notation and counting animals that are in the water and stuff like that. And then at night I would stay on the land with the people there. And I had one young girl there my age I stayed with, and she's like a best friend to me. Her name is Micha.
Yeah.
And she's very cool. And
wonderful.
Yeah, she's about my age too. So,
and this goes back to why the book is titled Symmetry, because life is the same throughout the universe.
Yes.
So on this planet, you see fish, you see animals, you see trees.
Yes.
And the people who are living here are more spiritually advanced, generally speaking, than we on Earth. They communicate telepathically. There's no money. They live in peace. There's no locks on the doors.
Yes.
It's a wonderful way to live, which at some point I think we will. I certainly hope so.
We will. Off you go. You go.
This goes back to Dolly's experience with going inside Dyson spheres. A Dyson sphere is a concept that we have here on Earth, which came originally through science fiction, actually. Olaf Stapledon, a science fiction writer, conceived of giant planetoids, hollow on the inside, which would be basically like a spaceship Earth, so to speak. And I think, Dolly, you described the first time you went to one, you weren't even aware that this was, in fact, a Dyson sphere. You thought it was a world.
Right. Yeah, I did. They don't need they do rotate, but it would be more like an Earth type rotation. And they're using nuclear graviton wave technology on these things to create gravity and stuff like that. And it's totally encapsulated in a gravitational field. But they do become white. They look white, like a giant white star. When you're coming up on them, I was like, ooh, where are we going? And then I realized that we were going more and closer to it. And the closer we got, I started to see other topography on it that made me realize, okay, all right, well, we're not going to die from going into a star. And we went down some long tunnels, and we parked the vehicles, and I realized there were other craft in there with us in a bay. And I realized that they were working on them. If your craft needed something tweaked or worked on, it would get worked on. It also gave Todd a chance to unindwell. He would come out and actually take on a physical type of form and hang out with us on these worlds. He enjoyed himself. It's like a mini vacation for him too. He needed to relax as well. And so, yeah, there are 3 oceans on the one that I was on. One was a brackish water ocean. One was saltwater, pure saltwater, and the other one was freshwater. And they had animals there and, fish, that kind of thing, for transport. And that's how they did it. They kept them safe in an environment that they were used to until they got them to another world where they could be dropped off and taken care of.
Yeah, so you're beginning to see how extensive Dolly's story is. And honestly, I learn new things each time. I did not know that Talata would indwell and take form. You did not tell me this. Oh. It's not in the book.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
It just pops in my head, Oh yeah, that's right. That happens. Yeah, he does unindwell. Now I've told you he can unindwell and go into other craft. I have said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You told me he can take on humanoid form, but I did not know that happened.
I didn't mean to explain that. Okay.
You know what? I love it when there's something Preston doesn't know, and he finds out at the same time as little old me. Yeah. I mean, Preston. As an experiencer myself, it doesn't stop, I suppose, with the book. It's a continuation of co-creation and experiences. So you're going to be writing books for forever, Preston.
Yeah, we could do numerous sequels. Writing Dolly's book was hugely challenging.
Yeah,
because I kept going over each experience and she would expand on it and expand on it.
And she's
Yeah.
added more because I found, Dolly, I don't know if this resonates with you. When I actually outed myself a couple of years ago live when I started Open Minds Chat Show. And what the guest I had was Mary Rodwell. And I'd spoken to a few people, you know, in confidence. Yeah. And I had Mary on, and we're chatting. And in the end, it just, boom, I outed myself. And then every time, as I've gone along, it's got the conscious awareness has got greater. The amnesia is going. Yeah. I mean, now I can talk something, go, yeah, I got that now. Yeah. You know, people have always said in the past, you should write a book. And I said, no, I'm the audio book. I'm a live audio book. You get it on my shows because as I recall, do you know what I mean? So anyway, do go on. Please, that star is interesting me. As soon as you put that up, I'm going to listen now. Wow, that's got me, that star.
Yes, we had the Hubble telescope capture a supernova just a few years ago. And Dolly talked about this experience she had where she was taken by the ETs to a solar system that was involving this star, actually. And the solar system was on its end of its life cycle. And the planet they wanted to show her was demonstrating this because this planet was being burned up. And Dolly, you can go into the details, but yeah, oceans were drying up. The whole thing was firing up and it was breaking up. And so I think you took 4 trips over a period of years.
Right. When a star is at the end of its life, you know, it's running out of fuel and it will have bursts of activity and then it starts to swell up because it loses cohesion. The star is no longer capable of holding itself together, the outside of it. And it expands, it gets huge, it turns into a red giant. And anything in its solar system is going to be burned up and engulfed by it. It'll just take it, you know, absorb it through that energy coming at it. And I watched a particular planet lose its existence to it. I watched the water, you know, we watched the water going, everything drying up, watched it losing its atmosphere, things floating up into space or exploding in this space until eventually the whole planet just fell apart. It exploded and fell apart. It was engulfed. A few years after that, I went with them and we stayed a fur piece away from it. We were within sight distance of it. In other words, we got as close as we dared because it was about to go nova, full nova, not micronova, full nova. And I watched it nova and I watched it become a quasar. And it was blinding, white hot light. We had our shields up. We had our, you know, the lenses of the ship. In other words, we couldn't see out. We were watching it mentally and remote, even that close to it. And the light even came into us inside the craft. We could see it. It was unbelievably freakish to me that it happened, and we were all stunned. I mean, there were people on board with us who had seen this before, and they were still super stunned again. I mean, it's not something you get used to seeing. It's freaking
I can imagine. I mean, just looking at the image. So I'm just reading the image. Yeah. It's so familiar. It's so, it's like, it's just too familiar. And it really,
the star's about 180 million light years away from us. It is in the Delphi system, actually. Yeah. And when I came back about 6 months later, Talada's like, you're about to see it for real. Go outside. And I was like, okay. And I went outside. I had binoculars. That's all I really needed. And I waited. And poof, it went. I saw it in real time. When the light of it hit us, I got to see it then again. And it was quite the lesson for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another good example because, you know, by the time the light hits us, it's millions of years in the past. And they were able to take Dolly to watch this live way, way, way back in time. Again, showing their abilities. So this is some illustrations by my sister-in-law, Kisara, because Dolly has been involved with what the ETs do not call abductions, like we do here.
This is a familiar picture to me.
They call it gathering the children, and they check up on people and they heal them. And we went into some detail on this in the book because I feel it's important, because this aspect of onboard UFO encounters is really badly misrepresented in the field. It's very fear-based, and it's simply not true. The purpose for these examinations is mostly monitoring and healing. And
I
Dolly
agree.
has described many experiences, like a lady who was taken on board who was very badly burned in a house fire. They healed her, and various incidents like this. So yeah, it can be scary for people, but it's mostly about healing. Oh, I love this case. Contactees are all about animals.
Yes.
I have yet to meet a contactee who
Yes.
does not love animals and have an extraordinary lifetime of really cool animal experiences.
Yes.
And here's a story about a little gibbon named Sarah.
Right. We got Sarah when she was about 3 or 4 weeks old, and we were taking care of her like a mom would take care of her own child. She became our baby. And I noticed that she was not suckling properly, and she was not eating as much, and she slept all the time. And that worried me. That made me realize that something was terribly wrong. We called the vet. The vet came out, and they suspected leukemia at that point. They said her chances were real low. They gave her some medication that they were hoping would bring her out of it, and it somewhat did, but not enough. We started locating a direct donor to her for a red marrow transplant. We found a full sibling to her. He matched her, and we contacted Auburn University because they did that sort of thing. And we made plans to go and induct them into their program to save her life. Just transporting her probably would have killed her. I was despondent about it. I love this girl. This is my baby, okay? Mine and my cousin's baby. And she was special. There's something about her. She was more expressive than any animal I'd ever held or touched ever. And I started begging Talata and all the ET community, look, I know you can fix this. I know you can fix this. Please, and please help me not have to go through losing this animal. Please don't, it will kill me. And I had gone to Tampa to visit somebody. And when I was on my way back, I caught sight of one following me. And I turned this way, that way. It was coming with me, and it followed me all the way back to the zoo. I thought, oh my God, this is it. I know it's coming. And that night, instead of staying with her by her cage all night long, I let go and I just went up to my room and I put it in their hands. I saw the lights. I knew they were there. And the next morning, we were greeted by Sarah sitting up in her cage in her little blinkies, holding her toy and going, she wanted food. And we were like, oh my God. And we fed her. She went from only taking 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces at a time to a full 3.5, 4 ounces. And it shocked her. And she has never had a recurrence of leukemia ever since. We've had her checked several times. She's now full-grown gibbon, as you can see on the left. That was a baby monkey that we had at the zoo that needed a mama. And she took the job.
Oh, I mean, that is,
Yeah.
I tell you, I all through my life, I never understood I love animals more than humans. I don't love animals more than humans. You know what I'm trying to say? It's something, I mean, I'm going to out myself again. I even talked to Boris the spiders. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I did with spiders when I was little. Yeah. It's pretty bad. My mother came down one morning. We were living in Wisconsin, and I was sitting by the windows, and I was munching spiders, and my mother completely had a heart attack.
I never munched them as a child. I was scared of them and whatever. Yeah. Then a couple of years ago, here we go. There was this. I moved to the village here. I'm in a little village, and let me tell you, the animals here are 20 times bigger than the town, and spiders look like a fucking tarantula to me. Anyway.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, fruit spiders especially. Yeah,
and it crawled out, and I'm like, and I started and whatever, but then I didn't quite realize at first what was happening. Something shifted, and it stopped, and I just got a cardboard box and put on top, and I couldn't understand what was happening, and I thought I'll get one of my kids to remove it, or keep it late at night, whatever. So I got up the next morning and lifted up the box. I said, right, I can do it now. We're going to get you out. And I talked to them. Don't you bite me. don't you do this? You know, I'm scared of you. I'm a human and all that. And it had totally passed. And I was traumatized. And then the information come in. And I can only basically say they're more scared of us and da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, when the little shits come in the bungalow, I go up, take a piece of cardboard or a jug and say, right, you get in there because I still don't want you jumping on me. And I just chat and they go do. They get on it and I put them out the back. I mean, even spiders now. I mean, come on. And flies.
Yeah, I know. I can't hurt anything anymore. I've totally, I don't even.
My sister-in-law once ran over a squirrel. She lost her mind. We had to pull over while she wept.
Oh God, honest, it must be. I mean, but I think that's part of the expanding consciousness on the planet. I mean, obviously, you know, experiences do tend to be like that. But what people, I think nearly everyone's an experiencer, by the way. That's just me. You're seeing
Not
now.
Just you.
Yeah, well, I believe everyone's an experiencer. And you're seeing people coming down, they start talking, they're getting this connection with animals, with birds. And we're witnessing is that these animals are coming closer where they normally would fear us, because in the so-called past,
they know something's coming also, and they're seeking refuge with us. They want help.
And it's a beautiful experience to have.
Right.
Anyway, I digress slightly, but thank you for that. Do go on.
I've done a lot of research into this. Animals all over the world are being scooped up. I did a video, you know, alien zoos, which doesn't sound as frightening as it is. It's really them collecting animals. And I've got, you know, a dozen cases of people who have had their pets healed, horses, dogs, cats, I mean, you name it. So
I mean, also, I'm hearing the last year or so, new species that have been found. More.
Yeah, well, they're coming out of hiding. That's why the magnetic sphere is down, and they can't really navigate, and they're getting confused, and they're coming out.
They're coming out. Okay, right. Off you go, Brandon. You're not Brandon, are you? You're Preston. No. Off you go, Preston.
It's so funny. I always get called different names. I don't know why. It's Preston. Yeah.
Are you sure it's Preston? No, I had Brandon Thomas on the show last night. And I don't know why I called you Brandon, but anyway, you're Preston. Off you go, Preston.
I just got a few more slides
to show,
and I think we can breeze through this one pretty quickly. But here's a little mark on Dolly's arm, which was
pinched. We had a guy on board, and he was supposed to be, you know, checked up and all that. And he was sitting there and he was sullen. And I had 3 or 4 of them on at the same time. And I sat down next to him. I'm trying to calm him down, you know, and talk to him, get him to speak to me. And he wanted nothing to do with me. He realized that I'm wearing a uniform. Okay. I'm wearing my jumpsuit. He knows I'm the pilot. And I'm like, do you not want to be here? And he said, no. And I said, do you want off? And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's going to happen. You're done then. Nobody's going to bother you. And I still tried to console him and get him to be at least a little friendly, to realize we're not, you know, going to hurt him. And all of a sudden he took his opposite hand of me and pinched me as hard as he could in the arm. And he shoved me over. That caused an instant reaction from ET. They levitated him, suspended him in midair, and just looked at him like, what did you just do? And I got up and I was like, I'm okay. You know, I had a really bad pinch. That's about a week old. It was horrible. It was purple, black. It bled a little bit inside of it. Oh, it was bad. And they said, you're done. You're going to go home. We're going to take you now. And they held him in suspension. They would not let him sit back down. And when we got back, they sent him back, and he was a farmer, and he had a cow out front, and they put him on the cow and just left without him. Okay. And he was like looking up like, what the heck? And you could see the cow kind of chased us a little bit, and he was running after us, and I could see the look on his face, you know, not a good one. And I keep waiting for somebody to come out with that story. I keep waiting for somebody to either call Preston or another guy and say, you know what they did to me? I'm waiting for that story to happen, you know?
Well, maybe it will one day. Maybe
I don't know.
Come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
So another thing that Dolly's had to deal with her whole life is surveillance from what we would call the secret government. This is not unusual among contactees. I've had contactees whose hypnosis tapes were stolen, whose contact notes were stolen. Dolly is under constant surveillance from these spooks, these stooges. I witnessed it myself when we met for the first time at the UFO MegaCon in Las Vegas. We were followed by one of these guys. And yeah, I mean, this is not
Yeah.
fun for Dolly.
No, I'm totally under surveillance all the time. What?
I talking to when you were doing your technical issues earlier on. It's a common phenomena, but as I said, when you put it out and go public and share it in different radio shows, podcasts, TV, the more it's out there, then the impact, there's nothing they can do. Even though, I mean, I used to experience it years ago, not so much now, but really bad. It was in my IP address, everything. It was phones, it was everything. And when it was a really heightened, in the 2012 time, actually, 2012, 13, 14, it was really bad. But now I don't even give a shit. They can do what the hell they want now. It's too late. It's too little too late. So, but you're out there, you're sharing your experiences. Once it's out in the public domain, nothing's hidden. It becomes, what can they do? They pick on somebody else, or, but it is a common phenomena. Really.
Yeah, they follow me around for a couple of reasons. One is I know stuff.
Yeah.
And the second one is they're waiting for Talata to come in where they can try to go at him, or one of the drones. And they've never had that chance. One time, I've almost been abducted 3 or 4 times in my life. They've made attempts. The last time they attempted, the guy was shoved off the roof of our house. Well, he was up on the second floor roof line where my room was, threw him down to the ground, and then they EMP'd his car. And it was a huge message, leave me the hell alone. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a common phenomena. But, I mean, they know it's the end game and there's nothing they can do. So I just say they're throwing the toys. The opposite's, part of the game. They're throwing the toys out the pram. Let them carry on. It's too late.
Right.
Too little. But anyway, Brandon, you're not Brandon. Why do I keep calling you Brandon? Stop it.
That's just fine.
I'll tell you why, because somebody in my family is actually watching this, and it's somebody whose husband's name is Brandon, and she's freaking out. That's why.
Well, I'm a psychic medium, so if someone's connecting a bit too close to me, I will call out their name. I will just call the name out because I can feel that it's in my, my energy. It's in my space, and I keep. Who the hell's this Brandon? That happens a lot everywhere. Yeah. Anyway, do go on, Preston.
All right. We're pretty much at the end here. We've already seen the photographs, so I'm just going to skip through these. This is a close-up of Talata. We've already seen the moving film of this. This is the film we already saw. Here's a good still of Talata.
I love that they're dropping what you call their drones or
drones. Yes. Yeah.
When I watched that video for the first time, that was mind-blowing, really mind-blowing.
So these are just more photographs, and that is pretty much it. And there's the book. So
everyone out there, you need to go purchase this book. While we're on this book, keep the picture up for the moment, Brandon. Where can they get this book? You're not Brandon. All right. Someone in Dolly's family, you are too close to my energy. You're connecting to me. So unless you want to get a nice shove out, back off. Too close, because I'll have to push it out in a minute because I can't get it shifted. Where can they get hold of your book?
It's on Amazon, other online retailers. You can order it through bookstores, of course. You can go to my website as well, where there's excerpts. You can contact me through my website, prestondennett.weebly.com. Just punch in my name, it should take you there. But yeah, this is the book. My sister-in-law did the cover. You can see Dolly right there. There's another little gray. And I'm super excited. This was, again, one of the most difficult books that I've written. It's number 29. And it was really quite a challenge to squeeze all of Dolly's lifetime of experiences into one book. But I'm really happy with how it came out, and pretty excited about how well it's doing.
I mean, guys, I knew it would be mind-blowing this evening. We have gone so far, just over 2 hours. I mean, it's continuous. And as you know, I was saying earlier on, an experiencer, even me, myself, new stuff, you're going to be writing more books, Preston. Okay, you are going to be. It's been, I mean, I as I've said to Dolly, I love hearing other experiences talk about their experience of contact. For some reason, I love it. But I also become aware each time that happens, there's a familiarity between experiences. Like,
Right.
I know you somehow. And I haven't got the last 25% yet, but what I've got at the moment, I'm digesting. And but it's just a knowing I have that a lot of us that I've reconnected with, I've been with them before in contact experience as a child. And normally they're around about my age. That's normal. We're within 5 years of the age. So for me, it's part of my experience, part of my journey, co-creating with these beings and you lot on the planet, you gods, you know, it's part of it. And I can't, from a personal perspective, because it's all about me. No, I can't thank you both enough for your contribution personally to me. And I'm sure there's going to be so many people out there that are going to go, wow, yes. And the amnesia will start to dissipate and fall away. Because as I said, everyone on this planet, if you're not a robot,
Right.
and AI, you're an experiencer. So to close the show, could each one of you, and Preston, thank you for being an amazing co-host. I must say, it was good working with you. I'm very good at effectively delegating work to others. It was my job before. No, seriously, thank you. But before we close the show, otherwise we'll go down another rabbit hole and we'll start off again, and we'll be here till next week because it's too fascinating for me. Anything you want to say to, and I would like to put it into context for people out there now that are just seeing their first UFOs or having, you know, the experiences in the sleep state and they're meeting beings. Is there anything for you first, Preston? What sort of like inspirational pointers would you give to them if they choose to take it or not? Everyone has free will.
Yeah. Dolly's got an incredible story, but it's absolutely not unique. Many people have contact. It's far more than people realize.
Yeah.
It's like you said, Gloria, pretty much everyone on this planet has some level of contact. We need to move past the fear. Do not buy into the disinformation and misinformation that's being, thrown at us by the media. The ET threat narrative is not true. The only threat is to the power elites' control over us, and that is failing fast. People are waking up.
Yes.
Someone who's having contact, I would just recommend taking a deep breath, stepping back, write down your experiences, look at how you are. You're fine, and it can be very difficult at first. It's a big adjustment, certainly, but recognize that ETs have always been here. They've been around for millennia. We are not alone. We've never been alone. They are our friends. We know what their agenda is. It is to help, heal, guide, teach, to wake us up. So let's just step back from fear, recognize that we are all eternal, autonomous beings. Death is a lie. You don't have to live in fear. You're going to be fine no matter what happens. And it's our gift, a huge gift, to be alive on this planet. So we should just let love and compassion guide our actions and we'll be fine.
Thank you. Dolly, your turn.
Just to deliver ET's message straight out. They are our progenitors and they very much care about us. They've been guiding us through the millennia, and they are not going to leave us alone for anything bad to happen to us, really. Okay? We are the we are the captains of our own boats, and we must make our decisions for ourselves, but they still care and they still try to help when they can. Just remember what they teach. Love, teach using your abilities, open your mind, and try to contact them, be in contact with them, because they want nothing more than for us to come home with them. That's what they've been waiting for all along. And for us to love one another. That's all.
Thank you. For everyone that's watched tonight, it's been quite active, those watching. And for all of those that will watch on the replay, because obviously you've got your lives, whatever we've discussed in the show, it comes from our heart. If anything resonates with you, take it and do your own research, your own exploration. And if it doesn't resonate with you at all, that's okay too. Put it to one side, because trust me, the time will come in your experience where what you've heard tonight, and I've done this so many times, I feel like I've been alive for hundreds of years, and I'm 63. All of a sudden you go, yes, and it comes back. So, and thank you once again, Preston. And I have got that Brandon out of my energy. That happened a few minutes ago, and I can feel the difference now. I don't know if he's psychic or remote views or just maybe mesmerized with my absolute beauty or something, but he was in. And to my audience, thank you for supporting my shows. So this show is Open Minds Live Chat Show, and my other show is Inception Podcast. I'm Gloria. This is Open Minds Live Chat Show. Until the next time, thank you for watching. Bye, guys.